This is a special podcast presentation from 700WLW.com. This is Doc Thompson On Demand.
All right, they had their meeting yesterday in the Oakley skyline. We will talk about it at 10:06. The ruling is out there. See how they go forward from here. I will tell you this, though. He won. Yeah, the Steve at Oakley skyline, he won. So it looks like they're going to get their way as they renovate the building. But what all does that mean? He won. So you need to keep the mural. What changes does he have to make? And why did it play out that way in the first place? 10:06 this morning on 700 WLW. All right, I got a video up on the blog at 700WLW.com. In fact, you'll see my goofy picture right up on the main page in the upper right corner if you go there. Click on it, and you'll see the videos that are really setting the internet on fire, not just in the tri-state, but all over now. It's become an example of what is wrong, and that is politics. The right thing's not happening, the wrong thing's happening. People getting upset and pretending they're upset simply because of politics. It is a video of a town hall meeting in Avondale Monday night. Steve Chabot. He has this town hall meeting, and a police officer there stopped people from recording, from videotaping the meeting. It's up there. You got to see it for yourself. First of all, why? Why can't we record? It's a town hall. Somebody we've elected to do a job for us. We are their constituents. You know, that sounds bad. We're their constituents. Almost like saying we belong to them. No, they belong to us. They do a job for us. And it is a public forum. Allow people to record all of those meetings. If you don't want to be recorded in the meeting, don't go to the meeting. See, it doesn't matter if you actually have a video recorder or an audio recorder. People can give accounts of the meeting where you and things you say. People could still talk about it. It could still be public. So let people record. Now, Steve Chabot's office said that going forward that they won't take the people's cameras. What happened was there was a couple of people who a police officer went up and said, can't record. It wasn't rude. There wasn't a big ruckus or anything, but the people that were recording questioned it. Rightfully so. Didn't want to stop recording. But here's the interesting part. If you go there and watch it, within the first couple of seconds, you'll notice a couple of things. Police officer is stopping people from recording. But who's recording it? Who's recording this happening? Somebody else with a video recorder or a cell phone that's recording. They didn't stop them. Now, maybe they didn't get to him yet. Maybe they would have gotten to him and he just didn't see him. But you'll also notice within the first couple of seconds of the recording that there are professional videographers. I don't know if it was local TV stations or what. I mean, we're talking tripods and big video cameras. They're up there right next to the police officer. So they can record, but other people can't? No, a spokesman for Steve Chabot said the reason that those people, they were told to not record and that their cameras were seized and they were made to stop recording was to protect the privacy of constituents. Protect the privacy of constituents? Well, they say some people ask questions, tell stuff about themselves, and, they protect their privacy. Well, number one, as I said, don't go to a public forum. And number two, why would Steve Chabot's office then allow professional cameras like news outlets to be there? Is that really protecting the privacy of the constituents? Now, as it turns out, the two people that they stopped recording were people that were working with Progress Ohio. They're leftists. They're people who are opposed to Steve Chabot. They're Democrats, leftists, liberals. They're on the other side. Now, of course, they should still have a right to record just like anybody else. It's not about politics, from my perspective. It's not about politics saying, it should be open and transparent. Go there, question the people that you have in office, those people who make such important decisions on our behalf, and have made so many bad decisions. It should be completely open and transparent in a public forum. But politics is at play from Steve Chabot's office and also the Democrats. On both sides, it's just politics. Listen, Steve Chabot's people recognize that if he's going to have a town hall and you've got people coming in from the media with video cameras, they're going to video record it. So what does it matter? One of two things. They were given the business to the Democrats, the people that were liberal there. Or number two, they were trying to keep them from having a tape of something that could be used against Steve Chabot. Because that's what's happened a whole lot. Politicians, congressmen, senators come back to their district or state. They say some things at town halls, and then it gets on the internet. And they don't like it. The president said some things on his bus tour that ended up on the internet, did not make him look good, and they don't like it. Democrat, Republican, they're trying to protect their image. Think about that a minute. Protect their image. Your image? You mean the image that you're crafting? Making us believe that you are this thing instead of just saying, here's what I am? Marketing and spin. They're crafting that image and they don't like it. Some people are fast on their feet, so they go to town halls. They're able to go ahead and spin quickly. Others have to be a little more calculated in it. But most of them do it. That's the reason so few now are having town halls. There are very few that are willing to have town halls now. In fact, most House members are actually going to skip having the town halls. Now, I applaud Steve Chabot for having it. He's right to do it. But Steve, step up. Be completely transparent. Now they've said that they're moving forward. They're going to go ahead and, allow the cameras. But admit fault. I'd have a lot more respect for you if you said, you know what, we screwed this one up. It should be completely transparent. Bring the cameras. I have nothing to hide. I will answer questions. If you're answering questions truthfully, what does it matter? Don't you think they should be public? I have that question on my blog. So when you look at the video at 700WLW.com, go ahead and comment on it, please. Should constituents be able to record at town halls? Of course they should. But if you disagree, by all means, put it up there. If you have any other comments, put them on my blog there. Now, the other side of politics that's being played in this. Tim Burke, the Hamilton County Democratic Party, the chairman of it, has written a letter to the solicitor of Cincinnati. He wants an explanation on the, quote, legal basis for the seizure and enforcement by Cincinnati police of rules created by the congressman. Tim Burke outraged by this. And Tim Burke and all Americans should be outraged by any congressman, any elected servant, trying to limit the access people have to a public forum. The politics being played here is that Tim Burke probably would not have done this. In fact, I believe he wouldn't have done it if it had been Steve Driehaus. And don't give me that garbage that Driehaus wouldn't have pulled it, because if it wasn't him, it would have been somebody else that would have pulled it. Has Burke come out although this is a local one, has he come out and complained about anybody else around the country that happens to be a Democrat who has blocked people? If he has, I will gladly apologize to him, but I don't think he has. Is he equally outraged? Has he written letters? He's playing politics just as much as Steve Chabot is. You're going to come out and feign that you're upset about this? Feign that you're for transparency? Baloney! That's what you do as chairman of the Democrat Party, or chairman of the Republican Party, or as an elected servant. Spin, spin, spin. He jumped on this as an opportunity to make Chabot look bad, number one, and number two, like somehow he and the Democrats are all about transparency. You're no more transparent than the Republicans are. So, Chabot, wrong. His people, full of garbage. They're spinning by saying, we're protecting the privacy of constituents. And Tim Burke is full of it to come out and pretend like he's so upset and injured by this. Unbelievable. According to Steve Chabot spokesman Jamie Schwartz, said that the police officer there last night, or Monday night, was there at the request of the office because the House Sergeant at Arms in D.C., advised members of the House to get together with local law enforcement on these public events and coordinate. Yes, they have a bit of a safety concern there. Anybody in the public like that does. So I can understand, fine, coordinate. I get that. Makes sense to me, Jamie. But what does that have to do with stopping them from recording? He said that sometimes Jamie Schwartz, spokesman for Chabot, said sometimes the town hall meetings, citizens will ask questions about their own personal situations, and Chabot staff didn't want them videotaped. They didn't want them videotaped by, the Democrats that were there. It's okay if the media comes down and videotapes it. Why were the cameras there? Because politicians want the video cameras there because it's free ads for them. They have to spend money on all those commercials. But if the news tonight on TV or if the radio all day plays little clips of that politician, they're getting free ads. They get built-in commercials during their time serving, the time that they are in office, because they are that person, because you and I have to go there and ask them questions, or they have to talk to us about different issues. Here's an issue that's going on. I'm probably going to vote this way. Here's some information you need. And that's the reason they say that, they're going to have these town halls and all of this. But most of the time, it's just so they can get their face out there. It's free ads the entire time that they're in office. That's part of the reason that incumbents get elected so much at a much greater percentage. Incumbents are over 90% re-election rate. And it's because it's over 90. I think the last time I heard it was 94, but it's over 90%. That's the game they play. So, Chabot's office, wrong. And you're spinning to say it was protecting the constituents. Give me a break. And Burke, you're full of it as well. Is it JR or Junior?
JR in the car.
How are you, sir?
Good. How you doing, Doc?
I'm doing fine. Do you think that the politicians should be completely open? We should be able to record them down there?
Oh, heck yeah. And the other thing about that Chabot meeting was he took no questions. You had to write it down on a card. I'm serious. Look that up. So then his staffers could edit the cards. So he took no live questions, which is another spin, on his image, which is what you're talking about.
Yep. Yeah. Well, wait a minute. You're assuming that they edited them. I mean, did you witness the editing? Yeah, exactly.
It's just this whole manufactured town hall, quote unquote, that's so, massaged that it's not even reality anymore.
Yeah, and that's the problem. And it's the politics and it's people that aren't willing to admit the problem on both sides, JR. In fact, I just got an email from a guy, subject, Chabot. Any comparisons to the far-right teabagger whack jobs from last August? The Democrats were polite and courteous by compare. There it is, right there. Chabot was wrong, as I said. His people were spinning and lying. Burke and the people on the left were, of course, trying to make him look bad, playing that game and now feigning that somehow they've been so injured here. Instead of saying, Doc, you're right, it should be open. And both sides are playing the game. What do I get? Right back to the same old politics. Just locked in there, locked into your progressive views. Nicely done. Doc Thompson, 700 W. Doc Thompson at 700 WLW. Greg Stebbin joins us at about 9:35 to give us an update on Steve Jobs at Apple, what it's going to mean to your Apple products, the future of Apple, and if you have any Apple stock as he steps down as head of Apple. We'll do that about 9:35. 60% of the House of Representatives during their recess right now, and they don't go back until after Labor Day, 60% of them are not holding free and open town hall meetings. They're not holding the town hall. 60%. And of that 60%, there are some, like Steve Chabot, that are not allowing people to just say, yes, excuse me, I have a question. They don't want that. They want it very controlled so the congressperson looks real good. 67% of the Democrats are not holding town halls. 50% of the Republicans in the House are skipping out on the town halls. About 50-50 for the Republicans. 67% of the Democrats are not. Some members, though, are charging for constituents to get in their town. I'm not kidding. They're charging. Paul Ryan is one of them, the Republican from Wisconsin the guy who put together the GOP budget proposal, which is better but still flawed. Paul Ryan charging $15 for direct access. Well, that's a hell of an idea, isn't it? Got an email from Mary, said, funny to me that Tim Burke is screaming about transparency. Where was he when Driehaus was on recess after the healthcare debate? Most, if not all, of his town hall meeting was canceled. Excellent point. Where was Tim Burke then? I guess somehow that was different in his mind.
And now, another exciting episode of Washington General Hospital, where we never let an emergency go to waste.
Hello, comrade, and welcome to the People's House of Paint. My name is Boris. How may I be helping you?
Hi, I need to get some paintwork done on my boss's bus. I think he wants a name across the front, custom work. You guys are a union shop, right?
Union? The Union of CCCP. C is Mexican. Just like me, I'm Mexican.
Oh, that's great. The boss loves illegals.
Are there any blemishes or damage?
Only to his ego and poll numbers.
Yes, because we are thought to be covering up all kinds of defections. Years of experience. Please to me telling me name.
My name?
Name on boss.
Proletariat.
The workers control the means of production.
What?
Never for to mind. Where is your boss?
Vacay, Martha's Vineyard.
A bourgeois.
No, I think he's Baptist.
Washington General Hospital. Tune in next time when we hear...
I'm for to be thinking we do it in blue, because better to be dead than red. Da?
Doc Thompson on the big one, 700 WLW. Check out that video of the Steve Chabot town hall, the very controlled and monitored town hall, on my blog at 700WLW.com. You been to the Hofbräu House in Newport? I have not made it there. I've been by it, haven't been in. Had planned on it, just haven't made it. I'm at a loss here for the perspective of inside, what type of clientele. I need your help on this one. If you've got Hofbräu House stories, I had a guy here tell me that it was not his favorite place. Several people here told me they love it. Well, the reason I bring it up, because they may have to go 50 days without a liquor license. A little bit of trouble because some brouhahas, pun intended, have been going on there. So I need your perspective on the Hofbräu House. If you've got them, email them to me, doc at 700WLW.com. We'll talk about it about 9:42 right here on 700WLW. Doc Thompson at 700WLW. It is Thursday. 1 hour from right now, 10:35 on Thursdays, our game day. Today we're going to play Tribon. It's a fun little game, your chance to win some great prizes. We'll do it in about an hour. Greg joins me now. Greg Stebbin from, are you there? Hello, Greg. It's very odd. Well, we'll see if we can get Greg on in a minute to talk about Apple, and specifically about Steve Jobs resigning as the CEO of Apple. Well, it's going to affect potentially your Apple products. And one of my coworkers to me, they say, yeah, I just bought an iPhone finally, and now I find out. I said, well, in the short term, I don't think the technology is going to suffer a whole lot. I mean, Steve has been the driving force at Apple. He's an amazing guy. I think I'd worry in the short term, and maybe even in the long term, more about your stock. In the long term, the tech, and in the short term, probably your stock, that as well in the long term. All right, Greg Stebbin joins me now. How are you, sir?
Hi, good morning.
How you doing?
Great. I'm great. Thank you.
Do you own any Apple stock?
I have Apple stock of a different type.
Oh, okay.
I have Apple hardware and software, but no physical stock shares or shares of stock.
I own stocks in Granny Smith and Gala, but
also a very popular yet less innovative business model.
They're not doing real well. I don't understand why. I'm not making a lot of money.
There will always be applesauce.
So how is this? I got to imagine Steve Jobs stepping down is really going to affect the stock price, and then in the long term, the future of the company. The things they produce.
Well, maybe. I mean, first of all, as far as the stock price goes, I'm a tech guy, and if I was a wizard at stocks, I'd be so rich I'd be doing this all from my island in the Caribbean, right?
Right.
But I will say, as just someone who watches the tech industry, I'm looking at a headline right now from Reuters that says Apple shares under pressure after Jobs' resignation, and you know what that makes me think? It makes me think I should buy Apple. So
True.
let's wait and see what really happens to the stock.
Well, when he stepped down in the past, and I'll get to your other answer in a second. When he stepped down in the past, though, the company hasn't done as well, and part of that was because they really weren't doing anything innovative for a while.
Are you talking about way back when?
Yeah.
When he stepped down?
Yeah.
Well, he was actually fired.
Oh, fine.
So,
okay, well.
John Scully fired him, I think is technically what happened.
Okay.
I don't think
when he was
down.
no longer there for a while. Right? But I mean, the products weren't as spectacular.
Look, here's what happened. He came back, I think, in '97, and starting about 10 years ago, look, this is a guy who had a vision. And it may be that what happened was it took time for the rest of us to catch up to his vision. But look, he has reinvented the music industry. He has reinvented the entertainment industry. He is, I believe, reinventing the computer industry. And in fact, we're kind of on the last days of the PC as a major force. We'll have PCs, but we'll have PCs the same way we have phones. I mean, do you really care what kind of phone you have? No, you just pick it up and dial. And I'm talking about landlines now, if you have one at all. So I think he has reinvented how we compute today. And so the big question is, can Apple continue to have that kind of breakthrough impact without Steve Jobs? And here's, I think, the only way you can answer it was with another question, which is, if this guy had the foresight to reinvent music, entertainment, and computing, and really jump into mobile devices as no one else has, wouldn't you think he also had the vision to foresee a time when he wouldn't be there? And if he could make these amazing products, also make a company that could carry on without him?
Kind of like Willy Wonka.
Well, he actually
setting up the next guy, right?
Headlines have been comparing him to Willy Wonka, and I think it's not a bad comparison. He created his own universe, and you know what? We're buying into it in a big, big way. It's amazing what has happened in the last 10 years in the digital technology world, and what has frankly happened in the last 3 years.
When we think of the music now and iPods, well, and even iPads now on your phone or whatever, but years ago, I mean, that was completely new, and in just a year or so, it became standard. That's just what we do. That's how we listen to music and stuff. It was almost instantaneous, but certainly in the tech world, it was overnight.
I'll bet you, if you and I were good personal friends of Steve Jobs, we would have known that the devices we love today, the iPod, the iPad, the iPhone, the Mac, we would have been hearing about these 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. Not exactly what they are, but the vision for them. And I am sure that the same vision has been mapped out for Apple for the next 10 and 20 and 30 years as well. Look, I will say we really have no idea why he left yesterday, just as we really have no idea when the next iPhone is coming. I mean, we have lots of grounds to speculate on. Let's all hope that he's leaving because he suddenly fell into model rocketry. Or, right. Let's hope he's leaving for the best of possible reasons, and even if it is his health, let's hope that he conquers his health issues and can come back. But the truth is, this has been one of the most enigmatic guys, certainly in my lifetime. There's always there's one last thing that slips out of his sleeve, and you know what? I think there may still be a one last thing here that we haven't heard yet, and we're going to hear it on his time, because that's what we've seen him do over and over again.
So as a tech guy, do you have any insight on what his everlasting gobstopper will be? What his next exciting thing, the lickable wallpaper, what's coming?
It's lickable wallpaper on your iPad.
Yeah, I was going to say, that sounds fantastic. Now, somebody's going, darn, that would be great.
I can speculate. I think the iPad gives us a really good indication of where we're going, what they could do with it next. I mean, you have to assume 4D plays a role. You have to assume that what's called augmented reality plays a role. You may have seen this on iPhones and Android phones, where you're using your camera, and in front of the camera, other information that cannot be seen by the naked eye actually shows up on your screen. It's as if there's a whole other world there in front of you while you're walking down the street or driving or sitting in a restaurant. I mean, there are things that are going to come out in the world of technology that will blow us away a few years from now, just as, frankly, I think the iPad has blown people away. Look at how many they've sold.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, he's got a slightly bigger one out right now, right?
Slightly bigger iPad?
Yeah, did I see right that it's a bigger screen, looks a little bigger?
I don't think so.
Maybe I was just...
There are other manufacturers that make them other sizes, but they're not iPads. They're mostly Android tablets.
Is now a good time to get an iPad?
Sure.
Or, is it something... okay, that's a short answer. Or should I be waiting 6 months or years or something?
Well, the problem with technology is there's always a better one.
Okay.
And I think the other question is, should I get an iPad or an Android tablet? I think the Android tablets are also worthy of consideration. I always say to people, what kind of phone do you have? You have an iPhone? Then get an iPad. You're going to use the same charger. You have an Android phone? Then get an Android tablet. You're going to use the same charger. Things like that, subtle differences, are also important. But the iPad is an amazing device, and I think people, when they walk in those stores and pick them up, find it really hard to leave without one.
Well, I appreciate your insight. It's Greg Stebbin, and I'll put a link to your info on my blog at 700WLW.com.
It's great to be here this morning.
Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it. All right, tell me about the Hoffman House. What's it like in there? Is it a family-friendly place? 513-749-7800, the big one, pound 700 on AT&T. I'll tell you why I asked that question next on the big one. Doc Thompson at 700 WLW. Hoffman House in Newport faces a $1,250 fine. $1,250 fine, according to the Kentucky Alcoholic Beverage Control Board, because of their history of violent confrontations involving bouncers and customers. A history. 9 in the past 3 years. That doesn't seem all that high to me. 9 I guess how violent and exactly what the confrontations were. 1 every 4 months over 3 years at bars. That does not... look at all the clubs across the country. There's stuff that seemingly, at least in my mind, I've seen just about any time you go out, there's something with bouncers having to throw somebody out, and sometimes it's fairly physical. A history of violent confrontation? Well, they say, yeah. So they handed out a minimum $25-day liquor license suspension. The fine is paid by the deadline, which is September 16th. Then the suspension will be dropped or could be dropped to 25 days, contingent on the fact that there would be no incidents for the restaurant for 2 years. If it's not paid, however, they could face a maximum of 50 days without their liquor license, which I imagine would cut in severely to their profits, to their business. Now, it also accuses according to the Kentucky Alcoholic Beverage Control Board, that the Newport police refused to take reports or provide medical aid to some of the patrons that had been injured at times, 10 of them, after they were attacked by Hoffman House employees. What is going... I've been by, I'm like, yeah, go in, looks like a fun place. The Hoffman House, they released a written statement that says they disagree with the findings. They're in the process of evaluating the appropriate response, maybe even appeal. They say it's a family-friendly establishment, a safe, family-friendly establishment. I would expect that. Is there something I don't know about? Is it really that rowdy? No, one of my coworkers went off on it today, went crazy how much he dislikes it. A couple others were standing around, said they love it. But the guy that didn't like it, he didn't say it was violent. He just said he didn't like all that music playing. All the loud oompa loompa music. He said he didn't like it. So tell me your stories. Have you been there? Is it really family friendly, or is it, as they say, a place that's a little bit out of control? I do have questions about the Newport police, that if it's true, they wouldn't provide the medical aid, and the people were attacked by the Hoffman House employees. See, there's a difference between I'm a bouncer and you have to comply with the law, the rules here. We're going to kick you out. I'm going to escort you to the door. If you get into a fight, the bouncer may break it up and, hold you or something, keep you from hurting somebody else. I get all that. But it was described as attacked by Hoffman House employees. That seems very odd. Tell me about your experience there. 513-749-7000, 800, the big one, or pound 700 on AT&T. You can also email me, doc at 700WLW.com. Doc Thompson on the big one, 700WLW. Now, the way I understand it, the original, all of this trouble at the Hoffman House really goes back to the main incident in 2009 where a guy and his wife were there and they wanted to search her purse, and apparently they had trouble with it, and so finally they got into it with the bouncer. The guy claimed that he was thrown to the ground and violently choked when they object to her purse being searched. And some of this because people were stealing the Steins. It goes back to the Steins. Well, I can understand. Yeah, you want a Stein, you're down there partying. That's what you got to do. Well, stealing's not right, but yeah, I can understand people wanting them. But I'm pretty sure it's Bavarian law. You steal a Stein and you get your ass beat, right? Der Stein stealing is das ass beaten is... We got some calls here. We got Jim on a cell. You're on 700 WLW.
Yeah, good morning. How are you, sir?
Doing well, sir. You ever been to the Opera House?
I've been there many a times. I've got 4 kids, and we celebrated my second son's 30th birthday there. And I've been there many times, and I think it's like anything else. I think somebody can get out of hand, but I've never seen it out of hand.
And it's just a general party atmosphere, right?
I've seen great parties going on, absolutely.
So how's the food, though, and the snacks? I've heard good and bad about that. Is that something I need to check out?
Yeah, you do. The food's excellent. Get the Jaeger Schnitzel. You'll love it. The food's great. The desserts are great. Everything's good about the place.
Well, I appreciate you checking in and giving me the update on it as well. Got an email from Jim. He said, Doc, it's still a great, unique place to eat and drink. Everyone involved should rally to help them become better at what they do. But he said it's like anything else. He said, you're serving beer in big containers like that. You're serving 28-ounce beers and stuff. You may have a little bit of trouble. Yeah, I could understand that. All right, let's get to Brent. Brent, you're a valet there?
Yeah, actually, I've been a valet there for a while.
What's it like? Is it a good place?
It's a great place. We got families that come in, and, every once in a blue moon, you have a lady that objects to get her purse searched when there's a sign right when you walk in that says, all bags are subject to search, and the bouncers are all usually the nicest guys when they ask you about it. And you have people that throw a fit here and there. But usually, you have people that walk in, they have a great time, and then once they get, a couple liters of beer in them, a lot of things change.
Liquid courage.
You got it.
Do you think it's wrong? Do you think it's a mischaracterization by the Kentucky Alcohol Beverage Control Board to say it has a history of violent confrontation?
Massively. It's a huge misunderstanding. Which, because the managers, I've had to take away signs from people walking out the door because everybody wants to try to take a souvenir or steal something,
And they don't want to waste that little bit of beer that's left.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, it's vital.
Tell you what, Brent, bring my car around while I hold this beer mug.
Yeah, there
right?
You go.
Come on. That's not a good idea. All right, so for good food, is that something I need to check out on my food and beer tour?
Oh, exactly. It's they always have a beer of the month, a keg tapping the first Wednesday of the month, and it's always a huge showing. And it's a sad state of affairs when you got people complaining about fights at a bar.
All right,
which doesn't really happen too often.
Well, I'll tell you what, Brent, I may have to bring the fiance down this weekend. I may have to check it out for myself. I appreciate you checking in. We'll get some more calls on it coming up on the Home of the Red, 700 WL.